They should be joining us via Zoom.
Okay. We also have, anything else?
That's it.
We also have a submission of letter of resignation from our treasurer, Paul Harlow, which I've just received, which I'd like to address under communication and public comments, if that's okay. If anyone has any objection to that. Okay, great. Okay, moving forward, no more adjustments. Acceptance of the minutes for February 9th, 2022.
Will we accept the minutes for the meeting of February 9th, as printed?
Okay.
Motion to accept the minutes for February 9th, 2022 have been moved and seconded. Yes, sir.
Nate Stoddard. Item D in the minutes. In answer to Nate Stoddard's question regarding assistance to residents by FEMA for damage caused by the storm, I did ask that evening about that. Thanks for the answer. Another question is it goes on to say that Mr. Hodgson said a list of residents has been provided to FEMA. Inspectors have looked at individual residents' damage. I've never had anybody reach out to me regarding my damage. No inspector. I've never given a number to anybody, so I just want to make that point. I don't know where the inspectors is inspected. And I'll say A&R hasn't reached back out to me. I recall him as well. But, just want to make that point that I'm not aware of any inspector.
Check into it now.
Do you want the minutes amended to reflect that?
So, that's just a point.
Point of order.
Yeah.
So,
The minutes are short, they're not.
Yeah,
Right.
the minutes are complete. But thank you for your point of clarification, sir, as usual. Okay, motion has been made and seconded to accept the minutes for February 9th, 2022. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are hereby adopted. Thank you. Communication and public comment. At this point, I'd like to address Paul Harlow, our treasurer, many years in town citizen, has done so many things for our town throughout the years, and thank you so much for everything that you do and have done, and been there for us through thick and thin, long before I got the privilege to serve on the board, and certainly many others. This acceptance, is this something we need to formalize? Or just,
Yes,
okay.
You need to accept his resignation.
But also just want to say thank you for everything that you've done for us. Extraordinary, thank you. At this time, I will then accept the motion to accept Paul Harlow's resignation, as town treasurer for town of Westminster. Motion for the acceptance of Paul's resignation has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
and thank you.
Yes, and a hearty thank you from everyone. All those opposed? Accepted. Thank you, Paul, very much. Okay, unfinished business. You wanted to move the meeting venue discussion update with Historical Society up to the front of the board. Are they present?
Are they present?
They're waving yes.
I think someone's waving yes.
Yes, we are here.
Hi,
Yes.
welcome.
Yes, both of us are here.
Yes.
Everyone is well. Hope your families are well. Okay.
Could they state their names?
Yes, could you please do that?
I'm Jessie Haas, the president of the Historical Society Board.
And I'm Rachel Scott, the curator of the Westminster Historical Society Museums.
Hi, and welcome, and thank you for all you both do for all of us and the preserving our history. Did you want to lead the discussion, Russell, or?
Actually, I'd like them to explain to you, their option for us for our town hall.
For the town hall meeting space?
That's correct.
Okay. Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. If you guys want to go ahead and start.
Right, okay, well, I'm gonna just speak briefly. I had not attended one of these meetings here on Zoom in the firehouse. I certainly have an even better appreciation of the problem you're having here. It is a
Yes.
difficult space, and I had heard that there were issues, and we were hoping that we could help the town out, and talked it over with Rachel, and Russ, I think, have come up with a plan that has been unanimously approved by our board, where we can open up the space in a way that I think Russ feels will work for him. And I'll let Rachel explain what that is, but it's a lot simpler than I think we were originally thinking we might need to do, or that I might have overthought and thought about things on wheels and so forth. But Rachel, as usual, has a better plan, and I'll let her speak to that.
Thank you, Jesse. Basically, my plan is that would move the cases so that you are not barricaded into a small space, so that you will have a lot more open space, and the cases will be moved around around the hearse. Some cases will be put behind the hearse. I understand how large the hearse is and how much space it takes. If I could, I would wave a magic wand and the hearse would not be there, and that would give us all a lot more space. However, we have the hearse, so we're going to work with it, and cases will be placed in a position so that they will not need to be moved. As the museum is set up right now, you guys are really blocked in, and I can't imagine how difficult that is, particularly during these times that we're having with COVID, to feel that you have enough space. So the barricade will be moved and will be placed around the edge of the hearse and further into the museum space that we are currently using. Sounds like that's a workable solution for the select board?
Comments, input?
It's hard for me to visualize what the space is going to be like. I mean, do you think, if we, right now we have 8, 10 people sitting around this room besides us, the select board. And there are likely to be times when we might have 10 people or 15 people, but we always, sort of make something happen for that. But do you think that the space that you're offering would be enough to take 10 or 15 people besides us?
I believe that will be easily accommodated. The cases that you now have that sort of form your little room will be moved away. So there'll be a lot more seating available for you. And we won't have to constantly be putting them back to create your space. They will stay where they are. The exit door will be much more accessible to the fire escape, as well as the doors to the stairwell.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It'll be the space will be much more open. But kind of like the high school.
Yeah.
Where there's no walls or to the ceiling.
Nice to work with you. And if once in a while, I thought of that afterwards, while we're having a meeting, before the meeting or during the meeting, if one of you would get on and actually introduce a section of what's going on in there, because I don't think it's ever been on TV. And if we're meeting there, we took 10 minutes to say, here, this is something so we can start to educate the people of Westminster on what is up there. And to take 10 minutes out of our time to have you maybe walk us through one of the display and what it's all about, I think it would be well appreciated.
Well, I appreciate that offer very much, Craig, and we would love to do that. It's been something in our minds that we would love to, have the board especially see. We've got a really nice exhibit on the massacre right now, and as we are in a few years coming up to the 250th anniversary of that, it's a pretty cool anniversary, and we're thinking of ways we might celebrate it. So we would love that opportunity. And I certainly appreciate you extending that offer to us. That'd be fun.
Great.
Terrific.
Thank you very much.
So with your permission, then I think we would like to try that for our March 9th meeting and see how it goes. Does anyone?
I think we just need some muscle to move some of those cases. And I think Russ indicated that he either had muscles or had access to muscle, that we could slide those around. So.
Yeah.
I will call Russ and we can make arrangements to move things when it's convenient for Russ, as well as for me, that we can be up there to move the cases. And then also, do I understand you would like to have a tour of the museum on the 9th? Am I understanding that, Craig?
No, it doesn't have to be the 9th. I said sometime, once we're up there, one of the meetings we could, it doesn't have to be on the 9th, some other time.
Okay.
Let's get it done the 9th and you get comfortable, but I think if we could put you on the agenda sometime, maybe even once or twice during the year, to introduce a section of it or give us an education what it's about, and more people see what's going on upstairs too. Okay?
All right, let's plan to make a plan on that. Then we will be having an exhibit opening also in November on some of the Native American artifacts that we have that were found in Westminster. So I could see us doing a couple of tours of it, and so great. And I want to just say I appreciate you moving us up on the agenda. And
Yes.
Yes. Really appreciate that.
Thank you very much for your accommodation, and again, all you do for our town. I mean, without your Herculean efforts to preserve our history and to do all that you do to keep it safe and accessible, we wouldn't have it. And so thank you, and thank you for getting us hopefully back into the town hall.
Yeah. Hope it all works great.
Yes, we hope it works.
Yeah, I think it will.
I do too.
All right, thank you very much.
I'd also like to take this time to thank the chief and everyone here at the fire department for accommodating us during COVID and making the necessary audibles when necessary to have us here, keep everyone safe, and go the extra mile as he always does, and the whole team make sure that we're all safe. Thank you, Chief, and thank you for letting us be here. Okay, moving on then to Bartley Hill Road.
It's still there.
The road
Cable there.
should hope so.
The road's still there. Because you tabled it to get more information read and absorbed in your packets. So it's still there for you to make a decision. It's a hardy decision. You've got our legal opinion in your packet again. This is a big step. It's a costly step.
It is.
One of your options is to bring it up at town meeting. Or it's.
Fletcher going to read with Larry and get back? Is that what they're saying?
Yes.
So we really need those two to have a discussion first.
Yes, but it's a moot point if you table it and indefinitely type deal. If you're interested, well then, yes, have them meet, have them discuss it again. You're paying for both, you're paying for our legal counsel to weigh on this. So if you're not interested, then don't spend money. If you're interested, then of course they'll meet.
Has everyone has everyone reviewed the documentation sufficiently where they feel they could make that decision? Or would you like additional time to do that?
I thought, after I read it, that the way Fletcher was talking about, Larry got back and wanted to meet with him, and I would respect the amount of money and time that Larry's put into. So we gotta pay for that meeting. I don't think it'd be more than an hour or so on it. Let the two attorneys discuss it and come back with what they would recommend. I can't believe they can't come to some kind of agreement before we vote yes or no. So,
Anyone else?
and I assume Larry's coming back from Florida before April.
I would assume so. I can't answer that.
So are we,
family issues.
Right.
Are we adequate with Craig's recommendation that we allow the attorneys to meet and discuss this?
Okay, good. That's it.
Okay? Okay, so Russ will set that up, or you'll convey that?
Surely will.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Moving on, budget separation, highway town, cost update.
So I was talking to Chip the other day, the separation that we've been talking about, keeping the total for the town and highway together, but having the two actual expenditures and revenue separated will cost us about $1,400 in man hours.
To hire them to.
That's correct.
Just a one-time, it's a one-time?
It's a one-time.
Yeah.
We've been talking about keeping the numbers simple, meaning keeping our accounting numbers for the town the same, and the highways would be the first three numbers would be changed, so that what we're used to for accounts will be easy to transition to. And Chip had no issues with that portion of it. And I don't want to speak for you, but I did.
So $1,400 would.
Take the highways,
You enable us to come back
wages.
next year with a book, and in the book that we give to the voters would be.
It would start July
No, I
1st,
understand,
as our auditor said. Chad, you would beg that we didn't do this until July for the next fiscal year, which gives us plenty of time to get that squared away. The budget is the budget, but what's going to take time is to take the wages and benefits and split them, as we're not, they're all on one line. So he's got to split them up. He's got to realize how much each person makes, and then the budget that separation would be clear and precise of all of the expenditures for town and highway.
But for this to work, you have to take the money out of this year's budget, even though it's not gonna start until July, correct?
The $1,400, yes.
$1,400 would
That's
have to
correct.
come out of this year's
That's-
budget unless.
that's correct.
Unless they delay billing us till July. But
So, can I ask a few questions? So typically when I do a renumbering of a chart of accounts and break funds out, I have the capacity to make it look like it's always been that way. For FY '21, for '22 year and now, and when you start '23. Clearly, the auditor likes the idea of it staying the way it is for '22, and then being different for '23. So the approach concept is not a break apart '22 to look like it would have looked if you had a separate fund. What I'm hearing in discussion is add a new fund, stop using accounts in the general fund that were for highway use, and establish new accounts in a new fund and start from scratch. That's a different approach than what I normally take. And that can be done as well, because I'm just gonna load accounts without any budgets or any history. And then there's a maintenance function in payroll, because accounts payable, you just start using the new numbers. So that's a different story than what I had anticipated needing to do. So.
I'm gonna need more clarification, I
Yeah.
guess.
That typically when you split, you take all the history that you have for 2 years and you reclassify it all. So when you sit back to do a comparison for budgeting in '24, you actually have a picture that looks like what '22 looked like, what '23
You
looked
put
like.
the
and
actual,
24.
yeah, you put
With
the actual.
numbers, meaning you analyze even the numbers that were audited, you analyze them and break them into the highway fund separately. They're still the same totals. They're just separated for analysis. And that is more work than simply adding a new fund and moving the highway, if you will, to it, starting on a single day. And for the auditor, it's easier to do that for them. For you, what do you want?
Speaking personally, I thought the one you just said, I didn't expect to see history of all the payroll and everything in his highway brought out. But we made so many changes, and Paul's been here long enough too, we keep changing, so sometimes the voters can't see because we changed how we numbered it or how we moved it over here. So we start over again, and next year when we come to them, they don't have anything to compare, but it's still the bottom line is the bottom line, and we can explain it very easily, you know?
I think that's, I like your position on it, and I think it does make it more comfortable when you need to find out what's been going on, and it's not like you created a new world, you just changed the way you look at it. But I think that's a good idea. That's mine.
Which way?
So I'm not clear on which is.
Yeah, I'm gonna say which way.
No, the way that you're saying that you have the history, a couple of years.
Yeah, that if we actually do it, the best time to change the budget accounts is right at June 30.
But the $1,400, which way were you doing the 1,400? That's what we're confused at.
That's that way.
Where you start fresh.
No, that's where I take 21, rebuild it to look like we want in 23, and then you have 3 years of comparison.
And that's for the 1,400.
Yeah,
Oh, then that's gonna change my mind too.
yeah.
Yeah. I just thought the 1,400 and we were gonna pay more to do that, but no. Okay,
You know, this exercise, you had an example of this already done,
right.
and basically it's take that and make it real.
Simple to say that the 3-year comparison you're proposing, $1,400, would be more transparent, wouldn't it?
I guess the term transparency is really a loose term. It allows you comparability as if you had your highway separated each year. Because you really don't know right now, what was 21's highway surplus or deficit standing alone? What was general funds surplus or deficit standing alone? One of the topics today was, what is the fund balance? What do we have available? It is a combined right now. It is not highway or general. It's combined, the two together, referred to as general. So what I'm offering is that if we do this, we'll have to determine what a fund balance was for 21 for highway. You're going to take action theoretically tonight on an audited fund balance, of which a portion of it might have been highway. That's the way life works, you know? As well then, the current year that you're in, the reports you've been seeing would change, and you begin immediately to see your highway broken out. It is not what Chad Hewitt would love, but if it suits your purposes, then the auditor audits the numbers.
Yeah.
And we're not changing the total budget. We're not going to change the total in actuals. We're just going to classify them as highway or general government. Pretty simple.
That's your suggestion too.
That's my suggestion. I've been known to contradict auditors, so.
It's what would be the ideal way. I didn't understand that for, we were
Yeah.
getting that for the 1,400. I thought you were gonna say it's gonna cost more.
No, no, I've done this,
Yeah, if we
I've
could
done
look
this
at
in
it.
other communities.
Yep.
I have tools I've already written, I just have to modify them for your structure. And the exercise takes time to analyze the data set. Highway, all the highway guys are grouped together, but all their benefits are combined with the benefits of everyone else. And so you really have to look at what is that total, what should it be? And you're gonna best guess what the budget number is gonna be split. The total of the two is gonna be the same, but the highway benefits are right now not a quickly identifiable cost of highway. And they are a good chunk of money. In one community, when I separated it, their highway budget went up $250,000. How's that possible? And I said, you never considered your highway insurances, your highway employee benefits? Just the liability insurance for the equipment? That stuff was not in the highway budget, it wasn't part of highway cost.
So, you're gonna work on this, but we are gonna go to the voters with a budget we're gonna go to the voters come in,
Yes,
actually in 2 months. We're not gonna change that, because that's already being done in the
correct.
book. But you're gonna start to come back to us, and really, we only see that as select board for just, when we go to the voters, then we put that book away, we don't really look at it again anyways. As long as we keep, and we're gonna get that report, and we can see it and follow, I think it's gonna be great.
The totals, again, the total budget passed will still be the total budget we have,
Right.
just broken into two different funds.
Any more discussion?
Do we need to have Russ come back and show us where he's gonna come up with the 1,400? Are you comfortable?
It's gonna be done by the hour,
So we just did it.
not to exceed $1,400.
Yeah,
So if that's what you want, then that's good. Somebody should make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and contract NREC for not to exceed $1,400 to break out the highway funds.
Motion is made.
Second.
Motion is made to contact NAMRIC, not to exceed $1,400 to go ahead and, quote, break out the highway funds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thanks, Jeff.
Motion adopted. Thank you, Chip.
when would you like to see a set of financials with that program?
As soon as you can.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Before you leave the room.
Okay.
There you go.
I can sell you a truck.
Just as soon as we can.
Yep. When's your next normal set of financial presentation would be normally in April?
That's correct.
So if that's your normal next set, by April, your board meeting, you get your quarterlies, you'll have a new set of financials.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to scheduled deficiencies, treasurer update. But we don't have a treasurer.
He didn't even move when he sat over there.
In your package, you have two model policies for two of the items that they wish to see, which is fraud and investment. So we're not dropping the ball on the manual, we're going to continue. We've been very busy on doing some different things, but Chip will help us continue the move to get that manual completed. And I'm sure we can count on Paul to answer a few questions if we need him.
How close are we roughly? Do you know, 75%?
I have no idea.
The answer is you're never done. Because the rules will change,
Yeah, true.
the conditions will change,
Uh-huh.
and whatever comes after ARPA will change. So you'll evolve.
Yeah.
So that's the only way you can treat it. When auditors work, if they have done the same service for 20 years, the more they know, the deeper they can get into looking. The deeper they can get, the more detail they can find. But if at the surface, just in general, things are a mess, they're never going to find the one employee who is taxed inappropriately on benefit. They can't get to that level if they're up here trying to fix bigger fish. So that's why I say your policies will totally change and should be flexible living documents. The general gist remains the same. What is our intention for, and I'll use again the term fund balance. What's our intention? To reserve a fund balance, to keep a fund balance, to keep an amount that's unreserved. And there's policies for that.
So that would not be part of the financial manual, which is the manual, as it would be a policy.
The two that I just gave you, yes, there'll be
So it would
separate
be
policies.
included. So that would be,
But that is a function of accounting
right,
to adhere to the policy. How do you do it?
how do you do it, right? That's what it is. That's what the manual is, how do you do it? You take the policy and then this is how you do it.
Structure.
Manual would
Yeah.
say, see, such and such policy.
Right. But it would have the steps on how we,
Exactly.
break this part or whatever. Thank you.
Since we're on the subject, thank you very much. Model investment policy with guidance. I believe it's the first time this document has appeared in front of me. Yes?
Yes.
And suddenly it was thrown into the mix. But we have had this conversation before. At present, no funds of this town are at risk in the stock market. That's correct, right?
That's correct.
And there's never been a formal policy that permits that, right?
That's correct.
So in reviewing this model policy, we would not be reviewing any changes, for example, for something as negligent as that type of a policy.
That's correct.
Did you say negligent? Is that the word you
Negligent,
used?
reckless, foolish,
Gotcha.
whatever.
I know what it means.
Okay. So this is in there for what purpose?
Because they asked us to,
Okay.
that if one of the deficiencies was to look into an investment policy.
Statement?
Policy,
Investment policy statement.
statement. It can't be just a statement, if that's what the town wants.
Currently, all of our investments are in short-term liquid funds, correct?
I can't speak for the, no, it's the other one, it's with Pete Harrison's group.
Yeah,
Campbell Fund?
one that Pete Harrison came one time and that,
They-
wanted to know if we could move
exactly.
it to a different source for funding.
That's correct.
So before that, we had some of the committees were actually, back when Ella was here, I think he was on the board, where we never got reported where the money was and what was going on, so that was all brought back to under our control. Before that, it wasn't.
So they do invest that separately, and he did come to you and ask for permission, and it's a very low,
How many years ago was this?
I was here, so 5 years maybe. They used to come and report, didn't they, every year? So
I've only seen them once, and that was the time that they asked for permission. Do you remember, Paul? No.
Does that fall, Paul, does that fall under the rubric of the select board, that particular fund? Our liability?
I don't think so, yeah.
It would.
But you did give him permission to invest it accordingly with a low risk investment.
Not to, when our banker was here from Ascoma, she was unequivocally clear that the funds were put into very safe bonds.
I can check into this. This is,
Yeah.
I'm not,
I think it's very good that this has been brought up. I'd like to, probably good that we have an accounting of our funds and how they are, make sure that they're dispersed in accordance with the safest possible, most secure manner, unless there's objection to that thinking.
So can I have a list, I have a list of Westminster accounts for purposes of reconciliation.
Terrific.
And there's 15 to 18 of them. They all list either Mascoma Community Bank, Savings Bank of Walpole, or TD Bank.
Thank you very much.
It does not indicate that these would then be investments other than liquid. Commonly in towns, just based on 30 years of experience, they may have investments that are both cash and stocks through Edward Jones, in which the stocks are managed by Edward Jones by instruction in low-risk areas. And when you need to draw, they sell, put it into cash, and then send you cash. That is most common. Is an agency like that.
That came to my attention for a town recently nearby. That's why I was asking that question when this popped up.
Yeah.
And exactly with that same broker-dealer.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, that's a different account. That's not part of the general funding. That was a trust.
Trust and agencies.
Trust and agency.
Yeah, where it's, if you will, from what I can tell, totally expendable trust, by the way.
Okay.
In that case.
Okay.
And so the investment vehicle, even if it loses, it meets what the trust had been set up for. And there are conditions now in which if you have a trust and agency fund that's under $100,000, you can request through probate to be relieved of the responsibility of managing that trust. Because the amount it can produce is not worth the cost of managing it. So as long as you distribute it to the purpose of the fund, you no longer have to manage that fund as a town. Back in the day, $5 grand was a lot of money. Today, $5 grand is not enough money.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that most all the accounts are just in very low interest area.
I think you're absolutely
Very low interest rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that might be changed.
Do the monthly reconciliation, sometimes it's 31 cents.
Yeah.
$2.50.
Yeah, to book the interest.
Yeah.
And if you were paid by the hour, you didn't make enough.
Right.
Yes.
But at least it's net positive, not negative, say, not negative 13 or negative 9, right?
You're not investing in GameStop or.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more discussion on this matter? Thank you, Chip. Okay, 7/29/2021 storm.
We are still on that efficiency with the treasurer's update of a
Sorry.
resignation. We still need to talk about
Okay.
how do we meet our needs in the meantime. With Paul resigning, he will no longer be signing checks after this group that's in front of you.
I was gonna question, when she got on, wasn't that by Paul getting on, so then Paul would have to accept her resignation before he resigned? How do we do that? I was just reading that.
Probably that's true, because he hired her.
Yeah.
But it was with your authority, so I would assume that it'd have to be both you and Paul agreeing to accept her resignation.
That's what I was thinking.
You're bringing up, Bud.
It'd be much more efficient to do it that way.
In your package, you have her letter.
Right. I'll just make a
Might be out of
motion
order,
that,
but it
as
isn't.
part of the select board, we go ahead and approve the letter of resignation. What's the word?
Resignation.
It's not here, resignation for Darlene Kelly, for assistant treasurer. With Paul Carl's approval.
Second.
Motion has been made, seconded for acceptance of the resignation of Darlene Kelly as the assistant treasurer effective immediately. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Darlene's resignation is accepted.
So then we have the issue of who's to sign the checks in the meantime, while we do a search for a replacement for a treasurer. And continuing our search for a financial director, or what's your initials? CFO.
Right, we were still waiting for a template job description. Do we have one?
Not that I was aware I was supposed to bring them, but I can
Well,
find.
Ernie said he would supply one.
Next week, next meeting, sorry.
Okay.
He will be here in person, and he will supply that information.
I think sooner the better. Why would we wait 2 weeks?
I'm just saying he's going to be here in 2 weeks.
Right,
But-
but he could email
But
us.
before we leave this meeting, you need somebody to be able to sign the checks.
Right.
That's correct.
Should it be one of the select persons for now?
If I may interject, Chip laid out a pretty good plan, I thought, a short-term plan. And I would recommend that you might want to tell us about that plan.
Let's hear it.
I could do it, but he's much more articulate than I am.
I was requested to be here by your past esteemed select board member treasurer. So, yes, I'm in support for what he does. I appreciate all the things select boards do. I've been doing this stuff for over 30 years. The concept is, by statute, when a treasurer is unable to fulfill their duties or resigns, the assistant treasurer assumes the duties of the treasurer. You're in a present condition in which you have neither an assistant nor a treasurer. The intention for short term is to add Russ as a signer on the account. He's in the office and available to sign checks. There's not someone waiting to come or go. Russ, as the town manager, also is responsible for managing your budgets statutorily. As the fact that you don't have someone in-house who can actually process, finish the payroll, finish the accounts payable, read financial statements. That has been being done by NIMRIC personnel and will now be done by me. And the goal of, and I like the CFO concept, but I'm not sure that Westminster can afford one, that I believe that you could go to a position in which you're looking for is someone with bookkeeping skills, procedural processing skills, can read instructions and follow them. They don't need to know necessarily how to read financial statements in the end. That step can still remain with NIMRIC overseeing it. But paying NIMRIC $110 an hour to print checks, do online banking and stuff like that, that's going to be a costly thing you've already experienced, and we need to figure out how quickly we can transition to some other less expensive way for the town to get those things done. NIMRIC can still do the bank reconciliations. NIMRIC can still do review of financials. And a couple of the documents you have here tonight were stuff that Russ and I worked on today to present information to you that's digestible and understandable. But like I said, it's very expensive for me to come down and do what is really procedural stuff. And I'm not sure what you've got for best options. And in the future, what you may be looking for is to shift what the role of a treasurer in the town of Westminster is about. So that under the manager, there is an administrative assistant, and then there may be a financial assistant who work under the manager. They don't work under the treasurer. They don't work under the select board. They work under the manager. And that horizontal, if you will, management structure, which government's famous for, and that's what makes us so inefficient, but we wouldn't choose any other way. Paul would not be, as treasurer, coming in and processing as it has been done here for years. And instead, that process would be a hired person under the control of the manager to oversee that the financial bookkeeping is being done.
Are we still obligated to have elections?
Yes, I think your charter says you do. Yeah. But the charter doesn't say what the duties and responsibilities are in terms of writing checks.
Or pay?
And payroll. Just the treasurer is responsible for providing disbursements, signing cash, making deposits, which unless authorized by someone else.
So what would the role of the treasurer be again?
A figurehead
Mean
for
nothing?
signing checks.
So
They
sign
still
check.
have all the responsibility that statutorily a treasurer has, but the grunt work, if you will, is no longer part of that position because, honestly, electable people are electable, not necessarily qualified.
I'm pretty sure that Ernie went over this exactly the way you just explained it when he was on the television.
So I talked to Mascoma to add a little more information here. I had Katie in my office today. She also concurred with myself being a check signer and one select board member. Someone that's accessible at short notice that can come to the office and quickly sign checks. My personal feeling is Craig is the closest and most accessible person, typically. But I'm willing for anybody, but I just know Craig is.
No, it sounds like the way you
Why not
described
do
the
it?
job, Paul could go back to doing. He just drives over with his tractor, signs.
It would just be a hard thing
Yes.
to do
Yeah,
when he's in Florida.
yeah,
That's the thing, you know, things have changed so that
yeah.
I'm just not around.
Yeah.
I can't say when I'm gonna be around.
So you're trying to say I don't have a life and I'm around, and I agree with you. Yeah.
You all said he worked too hard.
Yeah.
So
Couldn't go anywhere.
So to continue, she also went into the cash management online. Would be done with a token. I would have a token and Chip would have a token, so that he's able to go into the accounts and do the financial work that needs to be done on a monthly basis.
And then you will start advertising for basically a bookkeeper, right? I would assume that's what you.
Exactly. And still looking for hiring a CFO to see if we can afford what we're truly after and then how to make it affordable.
Is anyone on the ballot for treasurer?
No, because he has 2 years, had 2 years left on his term. So I'm thinking that the next election is November, and you'll have to put that on the ballot to complete the balance of the 3-year term.
No, we would ask for an
Next
election.
March, yeah.
We can't leave the treasurer's shop open all that time.
You can appoint someone.
You can appoint someone until the next available election.
You can go back and reappoint Paul.
Paul's out. Okay, you've heard the options.
I guess the most important thing, we start to have it, figure out, I guess we're in agreement of this. I think Chip knows what he's looking for, and you know what you're looking for. If you could come up and get the ad out right away, so we can start. Especially becoming the fact that we're coming from the town meeting, that we can at least let people know that we're looking for somebody to come in to do that.
It's not an urgent matter if you follow what Mascoma has laid out in front of you, because it will be handled until you find the right person to fill Paul's shoes.
It'll just be handled $110 an hour.
Right, well,
That's
That's right, that's the down.
like I said, it's not an emergency, but yes, it makes more sense for us to get the ad out and start thinking about.
There'll be a training period.
Mr. Jones?
John Jones for the record. Mr. Howard's position, as we all know, is elected. I know we have an election cycle coming up.
Yes.
Do we have any candidates that have actually submitted any interest to be on the ballot?
We just said that he's got 2 years left, so nobody knows until tonight.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You want to fulfill your 2-year obligation?
Yeah.
Well,
No.
He's done.
Do you have anybody that's put in an interest in for the position, either as assistant to the treasurer in the past? In writing, any emails, any?
We had a couple people interested. They tried it for a short time and then they said no.
We need a treasurer.
We have nobody at this point.
We need to find a treasurer and appoint a treasurer.
Might be a different duty than what the treasurer's had in the past, so that's why I was more interested in Russ and Chip writing up whatever that position is, whatever you want to call it, that's the position we're gonna hire somebody that's gonna answer to Russ and Chip on putting in.
To Russ.
Right. But you're gonna be overlooking it to make sure it's assembled right and gives you the right information to sign off on.
And that position will probably be part-time, I'm assuming, and we had talked at one point, or you had talked at one point about sharing that position maybe with another town.
No, we're talking two different things here, I
Wait,
think.
bookkeeper and.
We're talking treasurer. We're
Oh.
talking a treasurer that we have to have
Okay, so we're talking,
immediately, as soon as we can. But in the meantime, if we have signatures on.
And where are we statutorily on that? This is all copacetic, kosher, legal, standard practice, best interest, you pick one. That's not so loose.
It's not so loose as what you're saying. The board should appoint a treasurer. They can appoint a treasurer for a limited term until such time as they find another treasurer. And I've seen that done where we appoint on a temporary basis. Craig is the treasurer. Why? Because we're about to get him a signature. Well, he can't be treasurer in our own select board.
Correct.
Doesn't work, does it? But Russ can. You're gonna sign him as a treasurer temporarily for the town of Westminster. He lives in Westminster, he's a voter in Westminster. He also has to be the manager in Westminster. And then,
What would it be my role then, as I'm only signing the check?
you're a signature, you're a select board member's signature on the account. So then, at a future meeting, preferably the next, you actually have an external person that you can appoint. You're taking action so that you have the position filled for the next 2 weeks. Or if someone comes in tomorrow and you have an emergency meeting or a special meeting, just to do the appointment of a different person to treasurer.
Like you said yourself, the treasurer does not have to be someone who is even in has a financial background. It's an elected position, always has that.
Correct.
That person right now would be effectively simply being hopefully a disinterested third party who has no conflicts and would be able to sign a check. Right?
As a resident of this.
And a resident of this.
Has to be a
City.
resident, yes. Has to be a resident, I think it even has to be a voter.
Okay, registered voter as well. Yeah, please. Nathan.
Two questions, I guess. So are you talking you're gonna have, are checks gonna require two signatures, or is Craig's signature just as a backup if Russ isn't available? Or does each check have to have two signatures?
No, the same way.
One signature.
So is it, your question kind of hit on this, is it prudent practice to have the person who receives the invoices, codes invoices, to write and sign the check?
To me, that seems like a huge conflict. No, in any way.
Absolutely.
No, nothing
Right, it could be Paul.
towards our fine
But
comment.
that's not what we have right now.
I understand it.
Kelly is the assistant treasurer. She receives taxes and she also codes all of your invoices and processes payroll.
I thought Darlene was the assistant treasurer.
Just
You
resign.
have two.
Okay.
You have, we have changed the title because she is a receiver of delinquent taxes.
Okay.
Taxes, period.
But
I just want to clear for the record what exactly it is we are doing.
Absolutely.
But going back to what Chip said, so before we leave this meeting tonight, so we're more concerned about leaving tonight where we're going. We legally should appoint a treasurer for the next, let's say even 2 weeks. What you're suggesting is that tonight the select board will legally say we want to nominate or whatever, appoint Russ Hodgson as the temporary treasurer to fill that position for the next period of 2 weeks or so. Just so legally we have somebody.
With a select board member as a co-signer.
No, that's different.
Yes.
Treasurer is the title,
Right.
and that's all treasurers going to be in the future, a title and a signer of checks.
That's what I was on the same page with.
And that's all.
Yeah.
And you've got to have that position filled. And if you were to take action to borrow money, the treasurer signs. That allows the treasurer's title to be filled by a body.
Looks like someone named Caden wishes to ask a question.
Who?
Someone named Caden.
Cassandra.
It's Cassandra. I just can't figure out how to change the name.
Hey.
I'm a legal voter in the town of Westminster that's very accessible. If you guys just need someone to be an interim person for the next 2 weeks, I'm more than available and happy to help. So, just to put that out there, an uninterested, uninvolved party that's accessible to sign things. So that's it.
Thank you very much.
For the next 2 weeks, shouldn't it be an elected position though?
No,
Doesn't have to.
appointed.
Just be appointed.
No, I meant whoever you appoint.
Whoever's appointed. Typically, you look for someone who would want to run for the position when the appointment is over. Typically, that's what you would look for.
The one we appoint in 2 weeks from now,
Yes,
as opposed to the person we appoint right now.
right now, just to fill the
Right,
slot.
gotcha.
Right.
I think for the first time, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing that we get out of tonight for the next 2 weeks and then come back in 2 weeks.
Right, so the suggestion is that we appoint Russ as the interim treasurer tonight, and then probably at the next meeting, we have at least one person interested.
Right.
Russ is already the town manager, and I agree with Nathan's comment. I'm not comfortable with that.
Neither am I.
I'm not.
Neither is Paul Bannock.
Long term, I'm not comfortable.
I'm not comfortable with it at all.
So what's the other choice?
Well, we have a citizen right here that
You volunteered.
has volunteered for 2 weeks, correct?
Yep.
So Cassandra can do it for 2 weeks. The select board has a chance to, that contract,
How
that
long was legally?
2-year commitment that Paul has.
Correct.
Just a heads up, the video's cutting in and out a little bit, so I only heard about half of that.
Your full name?
Cassandra, Cassandra, Joyce Pedigo, Pedigo.
Okay, so those are the options before us. It seems to me, with great respect, I don't see how that's not a conflict of interest. I just, to me, it sounds, I mean, it's raw.
I'm not contradicting that, I was just thought, for the next 2 weeks until we had some, whether the choice, but I'd rather take another choice, I don't have a problem, as long as we legally can.
Statutorily, this is the right thing to do.
And so then, the question becomes, sorry, I'm gonna use your first name, because that's what
Cassandra.
Cassandra. Would you be authorizing Cassandra to get onto the Mascoma accounts as a signer for 2 weeks?
I guess I would not feel comfortable with that. I'd want to see some references or some sort of
That's a good
background
point also.
first.
So,
I mean, I appreciate the fact that she's volunteering, I think that's great, but,
And if she could volunteer in 2 weeks, yeah, that'd be great, but that was what I was thinking, was allowing somebody to go right in and be involved with it, that we have not had a background check.
and from the concerns of authorization and being a signer on the checks and reconciling the accounts. I am right now the finance director for another municipality whose treasurer, finance director was one and the same and did all 3 of those tasks. So, never been written in the audit, but I think that's the conflict when you can both write the check, sign the check, and reconcile it. The third step's what's missing here. The reconciliation will be done by memory. I can access the bank account, but I can't sign checks, I can't move money. And again, we're looking, in theory, at this gets us 2 weeks to where we can research with someone in mind to take the position of a figurehead treasurer who has an interest, has experience with money, and doesn't necessarily have to know how to run payroll or accounts payable. At all. That's the significant change in the role.
Let me ask you this, if, when someone runs for treasurer, do we ask them for references?
Thank you.
No, it's an elected position. They run and they run.
So what's the difference? She's this person is a citizen of the town. She's a taxpayer. Will she be required to make any further disclosures as a person running for treasurer? Credit report, background check? No, not to my knowledge. So we can't require that.
No, but to be honest, when you're running, you have the other people have the opportunity to run against it, nobody runs. I'm glad she volunteered, but it's just, I don't know, I've never been in a meeting where all of a sudden we just give somebody the authority to actually start being involved with checks that we.
Well, if she was running for treasurer, she would be. That's exactly what would be there.
You would have so many days to run for treasurer. You don't just raise your hand at the town meeting and say, I want to be treasurer, and they appoint you.
But you still don't go, you still don't.
But you can go in as a write-in, correct? And you only need 27 votes.
You can, 27. There's no
So I could
background
get 27 likes on a Facebook page and I could be treasurer next week if it was on the ballot.
That's right. You could.
If you're looking for personal references, you can ask Cole Streeter, you can ask Kevin, who's sitting next to you, you can ask my father, you can ask plenty of members of the community. I was simply trying to give you guys a separate, uninvolved party because I agree with Kevin. I think it's a huge conflict of interest.
Awesome question.
John Jones.
It's on the agenda, but I just wanted to kind of step in real quick, because Cassandra's on the economic development setup. She's one of the members as well, participating. So I just wanted to.
Thank you. So she's known.
She's known. She's participating. So she's participating in local government, and so I just.
So we have someone who's ready, willing, and able, was known to the community, is on the Westminster Commerce and Economic Community Development Board. I believe this individual is also running for the school board.
Correct.
Okay. Lives in the town, pays taxes.
And she doesn't need to have, if she's going to get the 27 signatures, she doesn't need to have us agree to it.
Absolutely not.
Well,
It's not on the
Don't
ballot.
think it's
not on the ballot.
Exactly, it's not,
There's
you
not gonna be
cannot,
write-ins. There's not be no write-ins at all, Jim.
right, there's no write-in, so it's not a position
I
that's
think she used it
not
as an
being.
example. Yeah. I don't think she meant anything.
As an example, there's no background check.
Okay, no, I agree with that, but she can't be
Right.
elected this March.
We're simply making an
No,
appointment.
but my point was it's that easy to become the treasurer. It's not, nobody's doing a background check. No one's looking for references on me. It's simply an elected position. So it's based on how many people know my name and want to write my name down on a ballot or circle my name. It's not based on my credentials. So if you want my credentials, I've passed multiple background checks. I've worked in human services for years. I have an education. I'm a tax-paying citizen who owns property, got a kid in the school district. So I'm certainly known by the community. If that's your concern, I would be happy to have no access to any money and just be signing off on checks for you guys because I was offering to do something helpful because I feel like the community got a little bit sideswiped by losing our treasurer when the position isn't going to be filled for 2 years.
So it's a matter of signing the checks, not having access to the bank accounts.
Well, yeah, I think that's really the only immediate need is that you guys, we don't need access to bank accounts. Nobody needs money right now. You guys need your check signed.
one of the mentions is the timing of getting checks signed. So is Cassandra available Thursday mornings, or your warrants are signed tonight, typically checks are signed in the morning?
Thursday.
And they're dated Thursdays, or dated Fridays? Dated Thursday.
And the payroll, those checks have got to be signed, because, they're picking up their payroll checks on Thursday.
So that is the purpose of having Russ, who's in the office anyway, be a signer on the account.
He's the hardest working man in this town, we all know that.
He'll tell you that. So.
How you going, and I'm just throwing this out here. I'm listening to what I got from Mascoma. Who is going to be chipped, literally given a token so that the cash management can be done online?
That's fine.
Needs to be two. One, and because you're gonna do this for a couple weeks,
I thought you just said she wasn't giving
No.
money, she was only signing a check, that's why I'm confused.
someone has to have the other token. That's the two.
Again, I'm gonna get back to the question before us. If the treasurer was the treasurer, would that be something they would be obligated to do?
Yes.
And statutorily, the treasurer has resigned, as has the assistant treasurer. Therefore, it is now up to the board to appoint a treasurer. If we appoint a treasurer, then that person should be entitled to whatever necessary vehicle she has to do in order to get it done for the 2-week period until we find a full-time treasurer. Nate?
I think your line of question is right on point. You have an assistant treasurer that's still on as an assistant treasurer. Where does that come in?
We don't have one.
That's,
Yeah, we
yeah, Kelly.
You said Kelly's assistant treasurer. He said when your treasurer resigns, all the duties fall on the assistant.
That's what I'm getting confused.
Did we limit her duties?
You did. You limit her duties to receive funds.
She doesn't, she's not allowed to get this chip right now.
That's
It was
correct.
only-
Okay.
So,
How do we remedy, how do we remedy that? Is there a way to remedy that?
Yeah, if you're willing to go through the process of having her token, then there is no other issue. But for only 2 weeks.
It's not an easy thing to do, because you gotta get signatures, from all the people that are, involved, and they gotta certify the person to get the token. And so, just to do it for 2 weeks, I really think it makes much more sense to have Russ do it.
why can't
This
Kelly
person, Cassandra wants to, enter the
Okay.
for later on.
How about this? Statutorily, if we appointed Cassandra as the interim treasurer, and Kelly is the assistant treasurer, then you have 4 pairs of eyes effectively doing that. Now, what's wrong with that? Does that make everyone else more comfortable with Cassandra having access to that information with Kelly there as well?
She would not have the token.
token is what we're discussing?
Okay.
Why can't Kelly have the token?
She doesn't want it, she's got
She prepares all the
enough.
stuff, she does all the labor.
So she doesn't want
If you're talking conflict, that's the conflict.
Where's the token kept?
It's in my desk right this second from.
So the treasurer would only have it while she was in the office.
Not necessarily.
And it's in her name or his name. It's signed with a special number through the bank. It's assigned. It's very key to.
And just one last dumb question. Why can't she be the treasurer and I be allowed to have the token? No. Oh, I don't know, I'm just asking that.
Mr. Chairman.
Please, Paul.
If I may, I cannot challenge the experience of several people sitting here. But from what I'm hearing and past experience, the select board is ultimately liable.
That's right.
Town.
Exactly right.
You're a budgetary, policy-making board. Responsibilities and duties. You have every right to appoint an interim, anything. And that's really all you'd be doing by accepting this lady's offering. I think Craig's point is on point. Have a select board member who holds a chip, the second chip. If they have to meet together, or if they have to talk together in this day and age, which is very, 2 weeks. I think we're really stuck in the details.
Right.
Not for 2 weeks.
So this is a good solution to pull us out. So Craig with the token, Cassandra as the interim appointed treasurer. Does that make sense? I think that covers the
If we
statutory.
can trust an outside agency such as IMRIC with a token and the ability to move our monies, I would certainly hope we can trust a resident
Sure,
and a select board member.
I agree. Thank you for your wise counsel.
excuse me.
I'm sorry.
So we're talking about these 2 weeks. And that, but what happens to the end?
We gotta scramble to get somebody
Presumably you'll have a treasurer.
who wants to be treasurer.
Well, I think, sometimes it's a little,
But again, I think that's wishful thinking in 2 weeks.
yeah, I think that's what's wrong.
I don't know, I think there could be some people out there who might be willing to do the job.
If you know, she might like in 2 weeks.
She might like it also.
So, yeah.
I don't want to speak for anyone, but.
Yeah.
So, you get the football.
I don't know what
You get the football.
I don't know if it's
You're gonna be in the
okay.
office, though, Craig, you're gonna have to be in the office. In the office. Be able to,
I can handle that for 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you, Craig. So are we in agreement?
So can I ask for clarification?
Please.
In terms of bank tokens, are we not talking 3 tokens?
No.
We're still talking 2. And so signatures, are we talking Cassandra and Craig and not Russ? And Craig and I have tokens.
That's the way I was thinking. Now, how do we get there?
Well, that's, the activity for the banking has taken place. I believe Russ has already been issued a token.
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
No.
Okay.
No, we're waiting till after tonight.
Till after tonight, okay. So in terms of the authorizations then, if the board chooses to appoint Cassandra as treasurer, Craig as her assistant to have the rights to hold a token and perform online banking, and Nimrick, or specifically, Willis D. Stearns II, to hold a token.
Like that name.
On
What's the
behalf
D
of
stand for?
David.
If
To hold a token for purposes of performing the duties affiliated with the financials until such a time as a formal treasurer and assistant and bookkeeper can be placed.
Well said.
If you could go make that statement shorter and to the point, I'll second it. Also move it.
Well,
So do you see that as a solution?
that gets us to where we need to be. You've now met your obligation for a treasurer. It's not for 2 weeks, it's until you find, and you may keep it that way, you may just keep the way that this is. The issue ultimately will be then signers on the account, Greg and Cassandra. And
So we're gonna nominate, appoint Cassandra as the town treasurer
Mhm.
and appoint me as the assistant town treasurer
Yep,
for 2 weeks.
no,
don't say 2 weeks, don't say 2 weeks.
Temporary.
temporary,
Interim.
treasurer. So,
So,
and it doesn't have to be the word interim, because at any given time, anyone can walk in and resign on you.
Yes, we've noticed that.
This way, you filled it, you feel you've met your obligation of separation of duties. The token appointment for me is to actually be able to do the uploads, downloads, pay your taxes online, all that stuff. Or help us with.
Makes sense to me.
And then the goal would be, at a starting level, to get a bookkeeper. You know, if you head for a CFO, you'll be a long time for a CFO. If you head for a bookkeeper, you might get.
Okay,
If you head for that gets you to the point of which you can still operate, employees and vendors continue to get paid, your financials come out, and you have oversight of your financials.
great. Paul Bennett.
I'm struggling with CFO. I've heard it many times tonight.
Yeah.
Did Westminster become a corporation?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just a title.
So we're elected officials. Why are we using CFO? We don't have a COO, we don't have a CEO. Why? Explain to me.
It's simply a title and a level of expertise expected. When
But
you
it's
say,
not in the realm of our system right now. You're actually trying to create something we don't have.
I don't want to create that at all myself.
Good.
I want to create an assistant to the manager that's a financial assistant to the manager.
And it sounds like you're trying to create 2 new payroll positions for our town as well. Assistant, bookkeeper, collector. Yeah,
The collector's already there. And
what happened to our tax collector? What happened to our receiver of taxes? Are those positions gone?
No, they're still there. We're doing it.
Yeah,
Then why do we need, you said looking into hiring a bookkeeper?
the bookkeeper does the process of finishing the tasks of payroll, online banking, and accounts payable. Those steps were done by the treasurer.
I don't want to tie up the meeting, but I may come in at another time, because I'm also struggling with, if we can entrust you with a chip to look at financials, and you did say received tax payments.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's right.
I'm not a receiver of any funds.
I think in 2 weeks, we'll be able to come back a little more.
Yeah.
We got kind of thrown very much all tonight.
Yeah. Well, thank you for excellent points. Then let's address them down the line, but let's, if we can, let's move forward.
Before we lose her, let's appoint her.
Yeah, absolutely, before we lose her.
I'll make a motion to,
Thanks, Paul.
to appoint Cassandra, head of growth,
Joyce Pettico.
to the,
As treasurer.
as treasurer, and
With Craig being the assistant treasurer.
Craig
Is
would
that a
be.
different motion?
Yes, that's my motion.
You could do them all.
And Craig now as assistant treasurer, who will hold the, what's the thing?
Token.
Token, who will hold the token.
Also,
Well, should that be it? Okay.
Willis A. Stearns will hold. Willis D. Stearns will hold the second token.
Okay.
As long as he's employed by member.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying, of course, tomorrow.
Right. A good point. Okay. That is the motion. Do I have a second? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Cassandra Pettigo, you are the new treasurer.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. She's still there.
Are you there?
Should be.
Oh, you're frozen now.
Can you hear us, Cassandra?
Now I can.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Does she know she just got appointed?
Did you hear you just got appointed?
I did, I heard that.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I think that finally moves us off scheduled deficiencies.
You killed that 15 minutes.
Repeatedly. Okay, so moving on to 7/29/2021 storm update.
The whole picture is coming clear, and I've given you in your packet the 4 projects that have been approved by FEMA, and one is still going through the process. The other one is moving to a different large job portion of the reporting. On your second page is actually a financial update of how we're coming about. We had $838 out-of-pocket costs for the storm. The select board approved the emergency fund of $150,000 to be placed towards that out-of-pocket cost. Select board also approved the working capital of $100,000 to be placed towards that, the debt, making our remaining balance, which includes the line of credit, at $588,322.24. So you take that remaining balance and you can subtract the line of credit. So we still have a balance of unallocated expenses of $363,322.24. That total is still pending, but as payments come in, we can address how to place the monies towards this expense. Our anticipated reimbursements at this point, we experienced $1,112,500 of estimated storm damage. This came from the 5 FEMA worksheets plus 4 more that we have had pricing out there since the duration. FEMA's portion is 75%, which would pay us $834,375. With the state of Vermont's portion of 12.5%, it'd be another $139,063, $139,063. So the total reimbursement for paid expenses would be $973,438. This is going to be stretched out over the next several months. We are anticipating a check very soon. The state of Vermont has been obligated to 2 different projects, so that means it's in their court to get us the paperwork, and then we can get the checks. We should have them shortly. They promised beginning of February. It is now February 23rd, so we're still waiting for the state to get caught up for this disaster. So that brings us into a question that was asked of me today about our net unreserved surplus that we are asking to cover our expenses in a article on the warning that's coming up in April. Our net unreserved surplus, with help of Chip, is $271,472. That's what the article will state to put towards expenditures of the storm. So the answer to that question is the 635,081 is really truly not the bottom line, because the assigned money to reduce taxes last year at town meeting was 100,000. The emergency reserves of 150,000 was used and approved by the select board, and also the working capital of 100,000. And then we also have a funny balance for recycling, which we will need to come back to you with a recommendation of how to remove that. That used to be for our transfer station and any expenses that we had towards it. So that is not a needed fund any longer, so we'll be coming back with a recommendation for that. But again, that all adds up to $271,472 to be voted on at town meeting to cover our expenses, which is still a bouncing ball. The money is going to be trickling in the next, hopefully in the next month or two.
I have a question, Russ. So on the financial update, you said the remaining balance, this includes the line of credit. I don't really understand. So the 500,000 is
It's still going to be paid back. That $588,322.24 needs to be paid back. We have a line of credit that we need to pay off, and we also have the unallocated expenses of 363. So
right.
That's all that was, is just to say, this is our total debt at this point.
Right, I understand that. So you said this includes a line of credit. So is that you added the line of credit that we spent into the 838,000? That includes? So you said remaining balance, this includes a line of credit.
You have a total expense of 838.
Yeah.
You've taken out the 250 that you approved. That is the debt that we have received with unallocated monies. Then we took out the line of credit of 225. So still, we have $363,000 that we just have used out of the general fund.
Right.
That we have to address.
Yes.
Before the end of the year. Or as Chip mentioned today, you can go into another fiscal year with that storm debt if you so choose. Pending our payments coming in shortly thereafter. Did I answer it?
Can you, I guess I'm getting tired and you kind of just laid this all on me. Can you put this back on the agenda for next
I
time?
can,
So,
it's an update,
on it. I'm not being
That's a work in
critical, but
progress.
it's taking me a minute to digest the ins and outs. And like she said, where we're borrowing it, where we didn't borrow it. And you just kind of hand it to us and I'm just trying to.
Okay, so we will table this to the March 9th meeting as a priority. And everyone, please review. No, thank you. You make a good point. Everyone please familiarize themselves with what we have to do and make sure we get this knocked off the next meeting, okay?
there's no actions to be done yet. Again, it's a work in progress for payments coming in.
Understood.
It probably will have changed, I'm hoping it will have changed by the March 9th meeting, but I will.
And thank you for your hard work on this. I know you're working hard on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Kevin, real quick.
Yes, sir, Nate.
I wholeheartedly agree, you guys are like 55 minutes behind your timeline, so let's move on. Tag on to this, my questions around all this are, I can't get any of these numbers to add up.
That's why I was having a hard time.
All these only add up to 600 and some odd thousand. We paid out of pocket 838, but FEMA's gonna pay us back 1.1.
Yes.
Why do we even need to have any money? They're paying us back more than we spent.
Not true. Correct. You're looking at cost out of the storm fund, what we submit to FEMA, or Westminster submits to FEMA, is use of your own labor, your own equipment, and your own materials, which were borne costs out of your regular budget in the general fund.
Okay. On top of the 838 is our own road crew.
Well, the 838 is everybody got their own road.
That's what I'm saying, on top of the 838 is plus the road crew, that comes to the 1.1.
Yes,
Okay.
and administrative costs.
That's exactly what we need to come back.
But this still only comes to 630 bucks.
This is only 5 out of 9 projects. We haven't got to the other 4. This is up to date.
Yeah.
That's why it is, I'm with you, Nate.
Yeah, no, that makes
I've been
sense.
hearing it like, okay, I've kind of seen this, I've seen that, but I'm trying to still like, where's the other ones and how much did actually Chuck do and didn't do? And I just thought I could come back and I was going to actually see Russ and ask him some questions.
The stack of folders that it takes to submit, a single project can be a fistful. And trying to boil it down and say, okay, let's just take every one of these in one number. And the goal here was to try to present that you're focused on trying to zero out your storm fund before June 30th. And yet you will receive more money than what that fund reflects as total cost, primarily because highway guys continue to get paid, but they were paid out of their highway budget. The trucks are billed for use, and you submit to an equipment fund, a flat amount of money. And so all of those factors are really your local contribution on top of the 250,000 you put in. And in the end, I think when you get to June 30th, 23, this fund may be holding for you $500,000 of surplus. Which, in my opinion, goes back to the highway fund, because it's all highway related.
Chuck's not used to getting it back, so he doesn't want it back. It'll just confuse him, okay?
Well, and we'll see that clearer after we change the chart of accounts.
Yeah.
Show them how confused you are.
So, yeah, the numbers that don't add up, what's been submitted was the black and white sheet. The total of everything we know are the numbers on those 2 pages. To give you the idea of forecasting, yes, you show 888, but we're looking at 973 coming in. Who's worried about cash? I'm not worried about cash. And that's why, yeah, you're trying to add things together. Understanding how FEMA works is why I worked with them today to say, you know, present these numbers. Because if they see that they're gonna get almost $1 million back on something that is cash out of you, 800,000. I'm not worried about 271 being transferred into that fund. You might get 300,000 before the end of the year. And the voters are gonna tell you to put another 271 into it, which is how you're gonna build yourself up to this 23 surplus in that fund.
Well stated. Nate?
Again, about $500,000 surplus again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for clarifying that.
Sorry, Russ.
No, that's good.
If you're good, you don't think you need me for anything else?
Thank you for your time and consideration. Really.
Oh, don't worry, it'll be considered.
Thank you.
Thank you, good night all.
Thank you.
I get two.
So also in your packet, you have a letter from the state of Vermont, just explaining what the holdup is, and the explanation of how to, what to expect in that. It's just an FYI.
This is from Christine Cycle.
That's correct.
You did a good job announcing that.
Okay. Anything else?
Not under that.
Okay, USDA grant funding.
In front of you, you have the master copy of the grant agreement that the select board need to sign. We're finding out that this is going to come with some painstaking documentation after the fact. So I'm just double checking to make sure that you're still for the $100,000 that we're going to receive from them towards the Hickory Road job.
Oh, John, sorry, John.
I didn't have the package, maybe I didn't grab it, but it's good to invest a little money to get a greater sum of projects moving forward. So if there's any question about moving forward with this, I strongly would ask the select board to do that so that we can invest a little, you could get a greater sum on the road because there's other projects on the road that we're going to have. So.
Thank you, John.
What is the name of the project? I couldn't.
Hickory Road. It's actually on one slide, it's not the call.
This one, right?
Erosion of the bank that's even toward that road.
Are we on a different vote?
Bank.
Is Piggery Road still drivable? Is Piggery Road still drivable?
Yeah.
It is?
I have two, I have this one, which I
Yeah,
think
it is.
Okay, so Russ, what are we doing?
I don't know, we're trying to figure out what page you're talking about.
The top page to his,
This one.
But I understand. So this one here,
that's for your information. That's just documentation that I gave you so that you could read it and actually understand how much paperwork is going to be involved.
And you're asking us for all our signatures on this page?
That's correct. That's authorizing the town manager to go forward with this grant.
As a motion required.
You already did last
That's right, you
meeting.
did, okay. Thank you. Anything else on USDA? Okay, that's being signed. Adopting the road and bridges standards. This was tabled.
That's correct.
Has everyone had a chance to familiarize themselves?
If you're we'd have to make a motion.
Yeah, is anyone not clear?
It's a certificate of compliance. I move we approve the certificate of compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory
So
as
moved.
presented.
I'll second.
Motion to adopt a certification of compliance for town, road, and bridge standards and network inventory for Westminster has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Can I ask a quick question?
Please.
How many people on this board have seen or know what the Orange Book is?
What?
The Orange Book, which is where these standards come from?
When it was reprinted, they all got hard copies.
I have.
Okay,
If you ask me, I read it, no, but I have.
okay. I think it would be good to, as people come on board, they should get that standard. They should get that book. I didn't get that book. Chuck gave me that book, but I didn't get it from any other place. I don't know how you know it. I don't know how you know it. I guess it's just a statement.
Duly noted.
Someone had his hand raised.
Oh, please.
No, I was.
John?
I just want to tag on to the Orange Book, and what you're approving, this is also a line item that helps the town establish their LHMP status for refund, that 12% we get now instead of the 7. When you approve this, it's one item of 7 that we get the yes for, and that's how FEMA and the state of Vermont say, here's your portion. So I just want to articulate the importance of this, if you will. Make sure the standards are up to that Orange Book platform.
Thank you very much. WCECD committee update.
Yeah, so I'm here to present the organization that we have taken up in the last meeting. In front of you folks is the actual terms and the positions as you requested. And I would ask the select board to take a motion to approve the terms and folks assigned to those. If anybody wants me to clarify anything, please ask. I am here, I'll just kind of go through it for the record. Cynthia Steyer is the committee chair, a term of 3 years. Chris Hackett is the committee vice chair for a term of 3 years. Cassandra is the committee clerk for a term of 2 years. Bobby Kilburn, 2 years. Chris Potter, our DRB chair, is for a 2-year term. Barry is a planning commission chair for 1 year, and myself, John Jones, 1 year. Again, when you go into meeting and you start making motions for chairs, these are how these things work out. It's just our diplomatic process, which is great, you know, so that's how we got there.
Well, thank you for getting this all set up and launched.
Yep.
You have us down there, obviously we can attend and whenever we wish.
Yeah, the select board has an open revolving seat for whichever member
And the
wants.
town manager.
And the town manager.
Okay, and you'll let us know too, you'll keep us informed of what's going on, right?
Yes, we will come back to the board with updates and after the board on certain things. And
Great.
we'd also like the board to feedback any thoughts that you folks have or commentary from the community, if you will.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Well,
Okay, new business discussion, bridge number 5 repair.
Over the Saxons River, bridge number 5, we just got some unsettling news. The state's initial estimate for that project was $2.1 million. That's what we've been working with for at least 2 years. And our portion was $56,000. We've been paying right along for the engineering of that bridge with the understanding of $56,000 was the maximum that we would be looking at. They finally got the bid out and final bids were received and only 2 contractors replied. and the low bid is $3.5 million versus the 2.1 estimated, which the state of Vermont is expected to accept the Renault Brothers bid of $3.5 million, which equates to the town owing approximately $100,000 as our portion. So it went from 56 to 100. And the explanation that I got was lack of materials for most contractors. They typically get roughly 12 contractors to bid on a project like this. Some can't get the materials in a timely manner in the appropriate time that they've allotted. The cost of the materials has inflated so much that that's half of the inflated cost. Trucking of the materials and labor costs.
So we don't have a choice though, right?
We don't have a choice. I'm literally just letting you know that our fund that we've been trying to pad for the next bridge.
Well, basically, it's costing us $50,000 more.
Twice, yep.
That's correct.
And we have 62,000 in the bridge fund, that's all we have right now, right?
I don't know what we have in here, to be honest. I thought my head.
I think you're close.
And when do we have to come up with the 100,000?
We've been paying out of it constantly for the last year and a half. So I will find out how much we have in it and we'll go from there. Still supposedly on task to go in between June and September with a 60-day closure, somewhere in that.
Well, how could we be that far off?
Okay, any more comment? Thank you, Russell. Moving on to appointment list, first draft.
This is just, I give it to you.
Oh, John Jones, sorry.
It's on the topic, Mr. Chair.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'll let you finish and then I will comment. Yeah.
So this is just your first draft. This is a work in progress. The red is people that I've confirmed. I haven't put a lot of time to this. In fact, we have one person standing here that we probably could get an answer from. Cole, you want to still be the fire warden? For the town?
Sure.
Thank you.
I would do that, yeah, that's right.
So anyway, if you know of anybody that can fill a vacant spot, that'd be great. But again, it's a work in progress. We'll keep you updated and until it's full.
Thank you. Legal documents.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes,
I
please.
would definitely like to address this draft.
Please.
My question, so I traversed down to obviously my current roles and responsibilities as an appointed Wyndham Regional Planning Commissioner. I see two other names in those slots. My question is, when did these folks request to be on the Planning Commission for this next calendar year? And how did we come about this list, I guess, is the overall question.
This was last year's list, John, and you're not in red, but I should have changed you because I knew you were still on it.
Do I have the wrong list here?
I just had, you just don't have the colored one.
Yeah.
I just printed one off and it's black and white. The red
Oh,
are.
okay, this is
haven't
where I was
asked you that.
speaking on, so am I still good for this if I want to participate, or am I looking for other?
They'll adopt this whole list and to be honest, we never kick anybody off. But I haven't asked like Craig to see if he wants to be the select board rep. That's the next meeting when they reorganize.
So I guess where we're going is I currently serve on 5 committees and I chair one, and we have agendas planned out. So if I'm not going to be on this after this day, that's, you gotta, as representatives, you gotta let people know these things. So am I misinterpreting?
You're misinterpreting. This is just a work in progress. And you
I'll
will
disregard that one that was in the packet.
Yes.
Okay.
So we know Bobby is gone. We have to cross her off.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, Bill, that's for sure.
What's that?
We need more residents begging.
Begging, yes,
Well,
exactly.
no, I just don't want to tie up too much time here on that.
So we
I
just,
owe courtesy to the people I serve, the community and the regional, as I do other things, that's proper etiquette. So, we're good, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Any other input? Okay, let's move on to legal documents authorized to sign.
so we got a response from our legal counsel for 3 items. First one is I need a motion to be able to sign this document, which the first one is for the Lions Estate. That is the house on our road that we cleaned up, and we have some significant costs in cleaning up the site. There is no heirs that are interested in the property, so that hence will go back to the town, and we can get our money from the estate reimbursed for pocket, for out-of-pocket expense. So I need authorization to continue this process and sign these documents.
Discussion or entertain a motion?
Authorize the town manager to sign the documents.
Oh, what's the town manager?
Thank you.
Motion has been made to authorize the town manager to sign the documents.
I'll second that.
And seconded.
Like, Craig?
Yes.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
This is regarding the Williams Lions one, so we're gonna have more.
Okay, so let's, you're correct, sorry, I'm skipping ahead, so let's be specific to it, right? So the first one is for the
Williams Lions III.
Williams Lions III estate.
Estate, we're trying to create an estate so that we can get paid for the out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay, next item.
I need a motion on that one.
We did, we're second.
You can do one
So
at a
seconded,
time.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, the Lions estate passes, you have authorization.
I'll make the motion on the second one, that we authorize the town manager to sign the estate, for William Rivero III. I'll sign.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. The town manager has authorization signed for, what was that?
William Rivero III.
For William Rivero III.
Is that it? Those two?
That's it. The third one is just a clarification that we asked for many moons ago for the Thistle property on Daigle Road. It's just legal opinion. It's in your packet to view. No action needed unless you go against the legal opinion and want to proceed.
Not touching.
I'm in agreement with her.
Get down, Kevin. Confidential written on the top.
Got it. Okay. I got it. Do you need a motion on that or no?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay, moving on to manager's report.
Just quickly, town hall front entrance has been worked on. The floors are sanded and they are now painting the walls and ceiling. Just an FYI, voting will be held at the town hall on March 1st from 10 to 7 p.m., 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., excuse me, on March 1st. And in your packet, just an explanation of the special notice that we put together. And I say we, Chuck, made mention that our roads are taking a huge hit by having our trash trucks go up each and every leg of our road system. And so we put together this quick notice because we were getting that rainstorm on Friday. We had no idea what that was going to do to us. So we put this together. We had them place it on trash cans, and that the roads that are highlighted here are the ones that we are allowing the trash truck to come down to. So we're asking taxpayers to either wait a week until their road's dry, if they can handle 2 weeks worth of trash, or if they can't, they generate too much, then please bring it to the designated nearest road in their trash bins. They can't just put bags out because of the animals, especially in roads such as Old Athens, where bears are definitely apparent. So we're gonna try it. It's a work in progress. We've already found a couple little quirks that we're working out, but for the most part, we think it's going to save a lot of repair and a lot of dollars to our taxpayers. Anything?
So is this now expected to be a fact because it was some people, you know, we called and it wasn't, I know there were a lot of trash out in the roads this morning, but.
So this morning was froze. If you read the flyer, it says that you can look at the town website or our Facebook page for the highway department that we update daily. And I check the roads, the highway department checks the roads every morning, and we let the rubbish company know if there are any roads that they shouldn't be on. Such as like today, Kimball Hill Road South completely fell apart. And I've also got all the fuel companies, propane and heating fuel, FedEx, UPS.
You've been in touch with them?
They're all on a mass email. So when I find a road that they shouldn't be on, I shoot them all an email telling them to stay off that road.
Thank you, Chuck. Awesome. Hi, Dan.
Did you want to say?
Yes, Nate.
Cassandra Kane has her hand raised on the computer.
I just, real quick, Sandra, I didn't get a flyer.
What was that?
Just a moment, Cassandra.
You should have got one being on Camp Road. It should have been attached to your trash can with this wind.
Monday?
No, last week.
Yeah, no.
You're a Monday?
It was the night before for us, we were Friday pickup, so it was Thursday, it was in our door when we came home.
What day are you?
Monday.
Monday. Yes, you should have gotten one. They should have put it, they put some in the mailboxes, and people took them
I
out.
can tell you, just this past Monday, they were on the road as I was leaving, so I had to wait, and I waved, and he waved, and I rolled the window down, I said, thank you very much.
They didn't do
They gave me something, didn't tell me anything. So I'm
sorry.
I'm not sure people are aware of this.
I didn't,
We're hoping people are, but I can give you that. If you're interested. But again, keep your eye on the website and the Facebook page for road closings. Right now, we didn't have any, so it's not on the website.
Roads won't be like completely closed, they're just.
So how do I know when to do it, when not to do it?
You look at you can call me, or you can.
If your road's falling apart, and your road's muddy, right, then chances are. But it says right there, check the website or the town's, or the Facebook page for the highway.
There's a good chance if it's 28 degrees or colder, you're gonna let everybody go through.
Correct.
The minute it goes over 32, that's what we should be saying.
Oh, it's
Minute it's above freezing.
If it's 50 degrees and raining, chances are pretty good. If it's February, your road's probably gonna be muddy.
Just to start with
Oh,
the website.
I'm just saying, that's where we've been. We're just trying to.
I try anything once. Pine Banks is the worst road in town, so we're bringing them up to the worst road in town.
What's that, what is?
Pine Banks.
You think Pine Banks is the worst road in town? Oh, you should leave.
One of them, all right, let me back that one up. No, I, we're trying, I agree with it, I'll do it, first I heard it. So.
Thank you very much. Cassandra, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions, comments / concerns. So we have a contract with the trash removal service. And in theory, if we have a contract with them, they would take into consideration our infrastructural needs, such as tiny dirt roads that maybe can't handle their 1-ton bald tired pickup trucks. But I would assume, knowing Ruggerio's business, they have smaller trucks available to them. So unless there's some sort of reduction in costs that we'd be paying for them not to be traveling those roads, I would think that we would still expect them to collect trash from those areas and accommodate for residents who either don't have vehicles that can fit their trash cans or don't have the physical capability to walk their trash cans down the road. But I think, although this was a good idea to save the small roads, I live on a small road, so I get that. I don't think it's well enough thought through. I witnessed a very elderly woman dragging her trash can in the cold mud by herself and was kind of offended, knowing that she's a tax-paying citizen who has trash removal. And little did she know, the trash truck went down her road that day and she didn't even need to drag her trash can out. But given that she doesn't probably use the internet very often, she was not aware of this. So although I appreciate the effort, I think that it's Ruggerio's responsibility, more or less, with a contractual agreement to handle this versus our individual citizens to have to lug their trash in their private vehicles.
Thank you very much for your observations and your input. Yes, Chuck?
I believe it says in the contract that the highway department will use their trucks to pick up trash when the roads are muddy. So it's really, again, wouldn't be saving us taxpayers anything by not doing this. Then we would have to turn around and do it when we should be doing road maintenance. And that's what's happened in the past, and that's what we're trying to help eliminate.
Sounds like a wacky contract.
Thank you, Josh. I was just thinking that.
Don't disagree. And then,
Well, my criticism would be that we did a poor job of getting this. I did nothing about it. I've never seen so many outrageous people call me over it since I've been here, to be honest with you. Oh, where'd I go? I said, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I didn't get it. I didn't know anything about it.
That's
And just echo what she's saying. Okay, I'm not against it, but there were some older people on the Birchfield Heights that maybe should have been gone door to door and said, hey, we're gonna change. If you need help, I would have volunteered to take my pickup to go help them. But I don't know who is around, who got the information, other than I have a lot of people going, where do we go with it? I guess you go down the other road. I never had a conversation about it. I just think that we should have had the select board involved, number one, and the select board informed, so we knew, so we can handle calls like that. That's all. That was my criticism. Not that it ain't a bad idea what you're doing, I'm not against it. It's just that.
with all due respect, Craig, I've been talking about this for over a year.
First time we've done anything.
And then the last, well, right, unfortunately, that's right. It was done spare the moment when we should have been on the ball before. So I agree.
Okay.
We'll get there.
We'll get better. It's always about getting better. Yes, Paul?
I'm not gonna round you anybody, I do appreciate the conservation for our roads and that effort. It is a short season. With the other concerns already addressed, I'd just like to point out that I did work in that industry, and actually for the Ruggierios as well. And Ruggierios has been sending a small truck up our road since Christmas time. I don't know what the reason is for it, but they were already using a conservative method to pick up our stuff on that particular road. So it was kind of surprising to see that we had to drag it down to the main road.
Nor was a good place at first for bikes even to find it, that's what everybody was saying. Where did I put the cans, there's no room to put it. I just think that if it was affecting Birchfield Heights, we should have notified them and make sure everybody knew what to do. I don't think anybody was against what you were trying to do, it's just where do we do and how do we do it, that's all. Just a lesson.
We'll get better at it.
Yeah.
We'll make it better, and we'll get it to a good place.
One last whip of this horse. Unless it's in a subsection, I don't see it on the town website.
It is not, because there has not been a closing yet. When it is a closing, we will put it on the front page of the
This
website.
wasn't on the town website.
That was not on the town
Okay.
website. You're exactly right.
Was or wasn't?
Was not.
Was not.
No, that's the whole issue, people start calling me and I'm going like, I don't know where you get.
I'll tell you what, that was on my Facebook page. I don't have any control of that website, but I will tell you it's on my Facebook.
Can I
We
ask
just
a
started,
question?
yes.
If it needs to be there, it'll be there.
I just see a lot of issues with this, and I was wondering,
And it was mentioned
does the town hall website have a newsletter?
Huh? Can you read that?
That they, like an email, mass email that they send out to everyone?
Is that only?
That's a good suggestion.
If you have that and you send it out to everyone, you can put on there, did you receive this? And everyone who receives it can click that they did, so then you can get a number of who has it and doesn't have the information.
Great idea.
Just
So
throwing it
how
out
do we assemble emails? That's
Just
the-
ask, send out a letter.
Yeah,
And ask
requesting permission, yeah.
permission. If you're interested in being notified by us,
That's a great idea.
give us your email. You didn't put it on a mass email.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all Chuck would have to do, is just say, okay, at least there's 430 people who have emails and from Westminster, and you can send it that day, that time. This really is what we've been talking about, we should be doing.
We'll take that under advisement as
Oh,
well.
robocall. We talked about it. Who does it?
I know, but if you're which they went into contact with the parents, what I'm saying, we're asking information. Anybody in town of Westminster that wants to give us your email, we'll put it on a mass email, and we can but we got your permission because you gave it to us, right? We would then send you out this notice or any notice that came up that was important. And a lot of people would say, yeah, here's my email, so you can let me know. If you're gonna change the day Rogerio picks up the rubbish because it's snowing out, you can send a mass email out right away and everybody will know.
The only problem with that is not everybody's confused. Everybody has a phone, but not everybody has a computer.
No, but you're asking them to give permission, and that's, a lot of people would say, yeah, here's my email.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Even less use Facebook.
But
Okay, we'll get it better.
Just a thought.
A lot of good ideas. Manager report concluded.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Boards and commissions.
Nothing to report.
Other business?
Well,
We have-
Okay.
Boards and commissions.
Yes, Paul Bannick.
Just as, I wanted to identify myself as the newest member of the APRA committee. Also, your newest chairperson of the same.
Great, Paul. Paul is our new ARP chairman. Nigel.
Jones for the record, thank you all who came to the meeting. I just wanted to, I guess, just real quick, if you could, the structure that the board would like, the select board would like to see, the committee I set up, we have a formal structure, chair, and meeting. When people leave that committee and come, you folks have asked me to have that person name brought before you, when we approve them, like you do everything else. And so I want to make sure that that all boards and commissions are operating concurrently on the same platform. I got clarification from the board. Mr. Bank did show up, the chief showed up. I think they're going to stay on the board. But if we're going to have people come and go, I just want to make sure that our committee is not just an open door, because we're voting on things and bringing them back.
Correct.
So if the board could give clarification, just on
Absolutely.
that, so I know. So we all know.
All those to approve, I'll take a motion to approve Paul Bannick as the chair, and the chief's on the board as well.
Chief Yarkins,
Second.
I think that was on the original list. Yeah, Chief's on there originally, so.
You have
Second.
Linda Fawcett
Linda Fawcett also is there?
As a new member.
Okay,
Is somebody gonna come back with a list, or we just approve the list?
That's what I was asking from the, yeah.
why don't we do it that way?
Yeah, just come back with a list of the titles, and then we'll
Bring it back.
Fantastic. I think you sent an email, but let's,
Yeah.
thanks, John. And thank you all for, thank you, everyone.
For attending and.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, everyone. If there's nothing else,
Other business, please.
oh, there are other business.
There is other business.
So the ARPA committee is a committee, not a board or commission, so I was waiting for it under this. Has approved the recommendation for the Westminster Fire Department to purchase an emergency generator. It's in your packet. The details of it. They're a key part of our emergency management plan, having this generator. Well, Cole is standing right there. You can ask him questions about it. It is, their one that they have now is in failure, so this building has no reliable source of power when the power is out. Cole, do you have anything else?
No, we do have a generator hooked up so that we can get the doors open, we can keep the place heated, keep it lit. Yeah, we've battled with the one that we've got for over a year now, so. Yeah, and I don't know if you have the proposals from the Scripps Electric, but.
They do, they have all of them.
Okay, we tried for a Kohler, and Kohler just could not give us a date when we can get it home. So they sent us back a proposal for Cummings. We had a proposal for a CAT, which the generator itself was $40,000. We also got a proposal for Generac, which none of us were really excited about a Generac that size. Cummings has been around for.
John?
Yes.
Thanks, Chief.
John, thank you, Chief. Yeah, I just wanted to let the board know, also you knew, and this is an approved expenditure, so you folks are aware, we're trying to bring it back. I did have a conversation today with Katie Buckley, who's been in the art thing for the DLCC. She will be coming to our next meeting, and we'll have a list of qualified expenditures, so when we come to the select board, the vision is that you folks know it's approved under 1.5, so you know that we're doing the right thing, because it falls on your shoulders as a select board to make sure all the money's out. We want to do our best part as your advisor, so this does fit in that. So,
Thank you very much for everything you're doing. You do want us to approve the submission for the generator, though?
I would love if the board could.
So before we adjourn, I'll take a motion for that exactly.
I move we approve the expenditure of $28,545.64 from the ARPA funds for a generator for the fire station.
Motion to approve the new generator has been motioned and seconded from the ARPA committee. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, generator expenditure has been approved. Anything else?
The next meeting.
Okay, the next meeting? Yes, Chuck.
Hey, I would like permission to explore the need for a town garage. Assemble a proposal.
Yes.
The parking equipment outside, because there's a shit inside, heating system is failing, on and on. I'd like to assemble a committee and see what we can find out. This will be a question.
Can't stop you. So you don't do it.
Well, but if you're gonna say absolutely not, that's stupid, that probably won't.
No, I think we should start researching it.
I think it's a great idea.
I
Me?
think it's a good idea.
Why don't you come back to us with 3 names next time? You gotta take that.
3 names, oh, I've got a whole pile of them.
You don't want too many people on here, just 3 people there.
Hey, whose committee is it, mine or yours?
I heard that.
Okay, so you'll do that for March 9th, you'll come back with your committee.
Yep.
Okay. Date of the next meeting, March 9th, 2022, at Town Hall.
Great accomplishment.
Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you, everyone. Stay home.
At the March 9th meeting, Ernie Saunders will be in person, to speak to you. Answer the questions.
Okay.
Did we adjourn?
Thank you.
Somebody make a motion.
Be well. See you soon. Motion to adjourn.
Toby didn't say that, but she did already.
Recording stopped.
Thank you, everyone.
Kevin?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to throw it out there. At Fact TV, we use a system called Constant Contact. And
Ball, thanks.
it's really easy to set up.
We're on Saturday. Let's see, you need me to bring it in? I'm cooking here. You want to bring it in? I'll bring some liquor. Fantastic. We're gonna.
Can we get a coffee pot for? I just called on a culvert, he wants to put together a proposal for the one up here, if we can get a plastic one, it'll be over a year.
Anything done?
No, I was ordering Westmisnter. This is it?
I know, it's my last meeting.
I'm looking at it.
It's been fun, hasn't it?
I was getting fine. So they came back. We're trying to get the message. We're trying to get the message. They will, or? I didn't have any. Sorry about that. I ordered a can. No, I ordered it. I ordered it. But. I mean, I sold last year, we sold Mr. Quality. Thank you. We're all verified, but agents are what should be on it. We've had it for years.
That's funny. I always thought this looked like dynamite too.
Right? I saw a couple more of those reels somewhere.
They just put
Maybe just like that. I wonder what they were.
The only reason I'm not even
Huh.
You mean that Ethernet reel?
Yeah, but that isn't what it, I don't think that's what it was originally. Maybe it was up in my barn or something that been there for. There's me
Maybe it
more.
was dynamite.
Who knows?
I love old barn ways to find stuff here.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
So, how bad is Woods Brook right now?
Like, one of course, got a couple of spots where a little muddy, not horrible, I mean, with the cars, no problem. Well, heavy truck traffic really big problem.
Yeah, well,
I know it was ridiculous up there, I thought it was trying to help, and, I know last year it got pretty bad. I feel like every time the ground gets off, it's some dumb kid, does somebody else want to sign these?
Yeah, all the days is one, top full of car, truck, and socks and whatever, one brick and blow it up. Now it's not half full wall for a car, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah. They're like, well, we got four-wheel drive, who cares if somebody else does?
No, that's it. Trying to avoid throwing money with mud holes.
Exactly. But hey, thank you for what you do, man.
All right.
We were all glad he'd lost the arrows. All kept watching TV and laughed as loud as his developing lungs would allow every time he could tell there was supposed to be a joke. And I washed the dishes. Everyone's dishes. That was how it worked. I had to be careful about it, of course. The weekend before, my mother had found scratched dishes when she'd come home. She'd given me that disappointed look because she never yelled. The message was better sent by staring at me when I failed to properly administer